If I see one more video about becoming her, I think I'm going to scream. If you want to see something different in 2025, then you need to be someone different in 2024. I just made that up. Okay, write that down. Trust yourself enough to know that where there's excitement, there's alignment. It's going to be wild for you on January 1st, 2025. Guaranteed. If you are ready to step into 2025 as a completely new bitch, this video is for you. And I'm the person to help you do it. I know you've been seeing several videos about how it's the last 3 months of the year, but I can guarantee you this will not be your average 90-day reset video. I'm coming to you in my prime, not only because it's Libra season and my birthday's in a couple weeks, and not only because I'm a procrastinator who works phenomenally under pressure, but more importantly, I have literally spent the entire past year transforming into multiple different versions of myself. So I anticipate that this little winter arc, or whatever we're calling it, is going to be my time. I've literally written down every single thing I learned over the past year so that this last transformation before the end of the year can be the most iconic one yet. You can go ahead and download the free PDF that I put in the show notes so that you can print it out or even put it on your iPad and follow along, take notes, be as type A as you want to be. I want you to look back on this period of your life, on this chapter, and be like, that was the one that changed everything. Without further ado, I'm so excited to get into the full guide on how to enter 2025 a completely unrecognizable bitch. Let's do it. Rule number 1 is I need you to laser in on one goal. My love, I am urging you, as much as I take pride in being a rebel and I love having a community of rebels, if there's one rule that I encourage you not to break, it's going to be this one. If you're trying to laser in these next 90 days on more than one thing, this is not the video for you. There are plenty of 90-day reset videos that are trying to do everything and be everywhere all at once, and I would encourage you to swipe off and go there. But over here, we are focused baddies, and let me explain why. I don't know about you, but doing literally anything, except for breathing, maybe, for 90 days straight is very challenging for me. Don't create resistance outside of the already built-in challenge of trying to accomplish something in 90 days. I want you to understand that a 90-day period of consistency is inherently challenging for most of us, and more likely than not, you have clicked on this video eagerly because you have tried to be consistent with other things throughout this year, and you might be afraid that you are going to end 2024 feeling disappointed in yourself because of your lack of consistency. Do not set yourself up for failure by trying to do everything all at once before the year is over. You are not going to be happy with yourself. And I do not want to have to say I told you so, okay? The other thing you need to realize, my love, is that any goal requires multiple habits to help you reach that goal. So by setting one goal, you are likely going to commit to multiple new habits, and we'll get to that later in this guide. I don't want you to make the mistake of thinking that you're selling yourself short by setting one goal. In fact, if you set more than one goal, you are going to be signing up for more habits than you might be able to sustain through the end of the year. And what I'm not saying is that if you focus on one thing, then everything needs to fall off. I'm not saying that if you decide you want to focus on your creator career, then you've just ultimately decided to give up on your health. No, I'm just asking you to prioritize one thing above everything else. So even on those bad days, you're measuring your success based on how you chose to focus on the thing you said you were going to focus on. For me personally, there are multiple things that I care a lot about. I care a lot about my relationship. I care a lot about my full-time job. I care a lot about my health, physically and mentally. And I care so much about my YouTube career. And in the past, when I would pick more than one goal, it would boil down to YouTube and working out, because it was like my weight loss goals and my YouTube goals. But now I decided to take my own advice and ask myself, if I visualize myself in 2025, on January 2025, what would be the thing where if I didn't achieve it, I would kind of feel like that sting? And that's what I want you to think about. And so for me, it immediately revealed itself that it was my body goals. If I see a picture of myself on January 1st, 2025, and even let's say I've accomplished every goal that I want on YouTube, and let's say everything in my life is thriving, but I have failed to lose the weight that I wanted to lose, I would sting a little bit. And so that revealed to me that that's really my priority. My priority is my weight loss. And so for me personally, the goal that I'm choosing to commit to above and beyond everything else is going to be losing 10 pounds. That's the goal that I set for myself from now until the end of the year. So laser in on one goal. The guide in the show notes will kind of help you think through how to make that goal something realistic within this time frame, but just laser in on one area of your life and give yourself full permission to prioritize that as your main focus for the rest of this video and for the rest of the 90-day period that we're talking about. Rule number 2 is to stop becoming her and start embodying her. If I see one more video about becoming her, I think I'm going to scream. I want you to realize that your attachment and addiction to trying to become her is the reason you haven't become. Okay, that is the reason you haven't achieved that goal, because you're obsessed with this process of trying to become something that you are currently not. And that is inherently based in a lack mindset of the areas in which you're not yet this person. You're only going to be able to focus on the areas in your life where you are not yet this person, therefore just creating continuously a life where you are becoming. That sounds like shit. I don't know about you. To me, that's not fun. Don't get me wrong. I'm always trying to learn and grow and be someone new. But when it comes to my goals, I'm not just trying to chase a carrot on a stick for the rest of my life. Like, that sounds terrible. So what I'm going to be guiding you through is how to embody her right now. Okay. And I want to tell you a little story that helped me with this. I have a manifestation coach and I had a meeting with her a few months ago. And I was just talking to her about some of my goals. I think it was related to YouTube. She literally responded and was like, what if you just decide that it's happening right now? What if you just decided that everything you want is happening as you speak? And I remember being like, what is she talking about? Like, it's not happening. So how can I just decide? Like, I remember feeling, even though I trust her so much and I take all of her advice, in that moment, I'm just like, how can I decide something is happening when I don't see it in front of me? But that moment always stuck with me. And now that I've completely transformed, not just how I think, but even who I am, I look back on that conversation with so much more perspective, and I realize exactly what she was trying to tell me. The old identity, the one that was in that conversation, was very attached to the identity of not being enough. And so I was primed to look at my life through the lens of, where am I not good enough? In order to maintain that identity, yes, even an identity that I didn't think I wanted, I was attached to it. And in order to maintain that identity, I constantly kept this story on loop in my head that nothing is happening. Then through that, just if you know anything about how manifestation or even just a self-fulfilling prophecy works, I would create the reality in which nothing was happening. Or even more accurately, even if things were happening, I was not going to notice those things. I only took notice of the areas where I felt like things were moving so slow, or I don't like my results, or nothing is changing. But those words never left me. That question of, what if you just decide that it's happening? And because I'm so committed to thinking differently than I thought the day before and challenging myself and trying new things, and if you've watched any of my videos, that's always what I'm talking about, is this concept that Joe Dispenza talks about of breaking the habit of being yourself. And what I could not deny, even in the weeks passing, was how different I had become internally. What I could not deny is there's a lot changing in my internal world. And if you know, like, the number one premise of manifestation is what you are internally, you will ultimately see change in your reality. And so if I were to acknowledge, which I did, that I have changed so much internally, then I also have to acknowledge that I have already set the change in motion. And as I continue to read and learn about manifestation, I realized that the old version of me was so attached to seeing things manifested in my 3D reality. Not to get like too quantum physicsy, but like I had to see it in front of me for me to believe it. But this new version of me, literally only months later, realizes like I don't need to see it in my 3D or in my reality for me to know that it's there. And that is because of how confident I am with the shifts that I've been able to make mentally. I just know it's loading. I know it's a matter of time. And more importantly, I'm finally at a place where I'm detached enough to where I'm just having fun with it. And now that I think back, I realized the conversation was about YouTube. And that's why it's so easy for me to not say that I need to hit a specific number before 2025. Like, I just know that everything I want on YouTube is going to happen, and you can mark my words, and I'm excited to come back to this video and even clip that part when it all happens, just to be like, I told you guys. But no, seriously, like, I am just so certain that it's all locked and loaded that I just have faith in how it's going to play out, and I'm having so much fun with that process. I wanted to share that story because I wanted to give you that perspective of understanding that, like, your results, your circumstances, your reality right now, I'm not telling you to ignore it and pretend it doesn't exist. I actually think it is a very helpful tool in measuring and assessing what's been going on internally for you. Your results are always a reflection of where you're at internally. So if you do not like your results, in my case, I'm not satisfied with the results that I've been able to achieve as far as like my physical body transformation this year. And so I've looked at that and realized, okay, then there's some internal shifts that need to continue to happen for me to get that manifested. But once you acknowledge that your reality is not where you want it to be, leave it alone and focus on the internal work that you need to do. Take your power back. Don't do what I do in that story where when she posed to me that question of what if everything is happening now, don't do that thing where you're like, but it's not. See, look, I'm not getting what I want. Look at my bank account. Look at how my body looks. Look at my follower count. Look at my job situation. Don't do that thing where you point to your results or your reality as evidence that you are helpless in how things do or don't play out. As a matter of fact, I want you to take your power back so much that you take radical responsibility for those results because you created them. And in the same way that you created those results, you can create something different. And the rest of these steps are going to help you do exactly that. Before we can get tactical, you need to embody the version of you who has what you want. And there are multiple ways to do this. You can create a vision board. I love creating vision boards. I do it all the time. I actually just did one literally yesterday that I'll show you in a minute. You could also journal if you're not into vision boarding. You can journal from the perspective of the version of you who already has what you want. People have been posting all on TikTok about the ChatGPT prompt where you tell ChatGPT what you want and you have ChatGPT like write out a full day in that life. And that's a very helpful tool to get you to kind of visualize and embody that version of you. It's so important before we can get tactical and talk about habits for you to really feel what it feels like to be her. It could be a meditation. It could be a visualization. Just take intentional time to embody the version of you who has that one goal that you outlined in rule number 1. Rule number 3 is to celebrate the areas where you are already her. I want to show you the vision board I made yesterday because it's so different from the rest of the vision boards that I've made. It looks similar because I have like a cute little aesthetic theme, but my whole vision going into this vision board was to actually celebrate the ways in which I am already her, and hence why the theme of the vision board this time is already her. So act like it, right? I actually had this really insane moment as I was taking a picture to show you guys. The photo I was taking of me and my couch on my laptop making my vision board was literally almost identical to one of the photos that I saved on Pinterest to put on my vision board. And it was just a weird kind of psychotic reminder that I'm already living it. And I've had so many moments like that, by the way, in the past couple weeks. Like Ahmed brought us coffee in the morning and came to bed with me, which he never like brings food or drinks into bed. He's like so anal about that. But on this specific morning, he brought my latte and his coffee into bed and we sat in bed and talked. And I waited until he came into bed for me to tell him like, this is on my vision board. There's literally a photo on my old vision board of coffee in bed. It symbolized my relationship with him. I think a lot of times as we visualize things that we want, especially when it's conversations around the new year, we approach it from this lack mindset of I'm not good enough. Again, it's that whole becoming versus embodying. So this time around, I wanted to shift it where 80% of the stuff that I put on this vision board are things that I already have in my physical reality. The 20% of little minor things that I don't already have, like the 100K plaque, I already am embodying the energy of the girl who has it. I don't look at that vision board and see this far away thing. I look at that vision board and literally see a mirror of my current life. And you might be like, like, well, what is the point of that? Like, if I'm trying to change or get something new, why would I celebrate the ways in which I'm already her? That's a great question, because I would have asked the same thing a few months ago. But 2 things to say to that. Number 1, you've already tried the lack mindset thing and clearly it hasn't worked. Okay, that's number 1. Number 2, there is so much power in building momentum. It's like this force field that's going to catapult you into change. Change can be incredibly challenging. If you don't create some built-in momentum through honoring what you're already doing right, it's going to feel like you're swimming against the current. But if you're able to celebrate and honor the 80% of things that you're already doing right, that's going to give you so much ammo and so much energy to just double down on those things to help you create the momentum to do the harder things of incorporating different habits into your lifestyle. And that's why before we could start outlining our habits, I really, really want you to sit down, write down the things that you're already doing right. And if you've been so accustomed to thinking from a lack mindset, this is going to be challenging for you. But once you put pen to paper, you're going to realize there are so many things you are already doing right. In my case, I'm trying to lose 10 pounds. What am I already doing right? All right, well, I built myself up to a point this year where I'm working out 5 times a week. That's incredible. I'm at a point right now where I am taking walks at least once a day, even if it's just a short walk. I'm already taking my health into my own hands and learning a lot more about the foods that affect my body. Like I'm taking so many matters into my own hands. There's so much that I'm already doing right. So in your case, I also want you to think about that. Maybe your goal is to become a creator. Maybe you've already joined membership programs to learn more about this. Maybe you've already experimented with your iPhone and how you could record certain things with your iPhone. Maybe you've already downloaded certain apps that help you learn how to edit. Maybe you've already set up a certain corner of your house where you can create. If you're like me and you're focused on like your body or your health, maybe you already started looking into gyms and getting a membership. Maybe you're already drinking tons of water. Maybe you're already adding certain fibers or healthy foods into your diet. When you embody this higher self, I want you to take stock of the areas of your life that already look like her. Which brings us obviously to rule number 4. Observe where you're not being her. Now, do not do this through a judgmental perspective. I want you to pretend that you're a scientist, pretend that you are just a passive, objective, non-judgmental observer. So pull yourself out if you need to of your own body and just pretend you're like a narrator and you're narrating the things that you are doing that look different today from who you've already embodied and visualized as your higher self. Let's say you had a side-by-side image of each person's day. And maybe you even journal about this, right? Your higher self, what does her day look like? Your past self, as of an hour ago, what does her current day look like? And allow the misalignments to just be revealed to you. I don't want you to start building habits just yet. Just calm down, chill out, wait. I promise you it's coming, but I'm not asking you to do anything just yet. The only thing I'm asking you to take note of from a non-judgmental perspective is any misalignments between your past self and your higher self that you are currently embodying. For me, the misalignments that just very quickly revealed themselves is ordering crumble cookies 3 times a week at 9:30 p.m. on the couch. That did not look like something that the person I'm currently embodying would do. It was a clear misalignment. I said I am this girl who's on a mission to be healthier and happier and leaner by 2025. That doesn't seem like something she would do. Another misalignment was I was not intentional about water. Like when it happened, it happened. When it didn't happen, it didn't happen. I feel like I drank just as much coffee as I drank water in a day, and that's not a good thing. See how I'm already judging myself? No. We're not judging whether it's good or bad. We're just saying it's not aligned. It doesn't seem like the type of behavior that my higher self would participate in. Another behavior for me that revealed itself is that my higher self was much more intentional about activity throughout the day. So while my past self was getting her ass to the gym 5 times a week and just killing the shit, my higher self does that, but also is more intentional about getting a certain step count averaging throughout the week. She understands that in a post-COVID society, we are sitting our asses down so much more than we did before 2020. And so she logically also understands that if she wants to be healthy and active, she needs to be more intentional and proactive about getting her steps in outside of just her workout. That was a huge thing that got revealed to me as I did this activity. My higher self, she doesn't need discipline or even motivation. She has built-in inspiration and excitement because she completely romanticizes the process of meal prepping and getting her walks in and drinking more water. Like, that whole thing is so romanticized, and she's so prepared that she doesn't need to rely on the brute force of discipline because her success is automatic. She's built it in to where it just feels easy. It feels like a flow state, and it just feels guaranteed with the way she has her life set up. Her space is beautiful, it's clean, it's inspirational. That is what it looks like to live in the world of my higher self. So start to try to paint that picture of the areas of your past life that are misaligned with who you've just said you are. Start to paint that picture and allow those things to just kind of bubble up to the surface, because we're going to workshop them very soon. Rule number 5 is to introduce habits that feel exciting and aligned. So you have this amazing list of things that you are already doing. I want you to keep those things and feel proud of yourself for having already built in so much success into your regimen. You also have a list of things after rule number 4 that have bubbled up to the surface as misalignments. I want you to think of those misalignments as a problem that you're trying to solve. But instead of saying you're going to remove certain things, I want you to use the laws of positive psychology to be a little bit more strategic than you have in the past. So the way that we're going to do this time is going to be very different from how you did this in 2023 and in 2022 and at the end of 2021. Because guess what? If you want to see something different in 2025, then you need to be someone different in 2024. I just made that up. Okay, write that down. But it's true. If you're trying to see something different that you've never seen before by 2025, now is the time to be something different. And it's going to require a brand new way of approaching the same problem that you've probably had for the past several years. I am not throwing shade, because same. I am genuinely taking my advice right alongside you right now. The laws of positive psychology tell us that if we just reframe what we're about to do through the perspective of adding something new into your life versus taking something away or stopping something or quitting something, you're going to be so much more likely to stick to those habits because they're framed in a way that feels positive and not punitive. They're not like a punishment. It's actually like a reward or a gift that you're giving yourself in this new identity. Let me give you an example so you see how this works itself out. Like I had mentioned earlier, one of my biggest problems, and I'm being so serious, is I developed this habit, even during this whole In Those Jeans challenge that I'm doing, of ordering crumble cookies like 2 times a week while I'm on this couch over here watching Netflix at like 9 p.m. on a random Tuesday. What was I thinking? I don't know. But again, we're not here to judge. We're just here to transform. I'm like, what the hell, girl? You're out here ordering crumble cookies and you're saying you're trying to lose weight. The cookies are good, don't get me wrong. But this doesn't seem aligned, right? That was one of the first things that bubbled its way on up when I embodied my higher self. I could have easily just done the old thing and been like, all right, well, no more crumble cookies. All right, well, no more ordering food. And I wanted to do that. I was tempted to do that because that's what the old version of me would do. But I'm like, let me be a little more strategic so this doesn't feel so punitive. And then once I like set this intention to kind of like add a new habit instead of deleting one, the idea of doing intermittent fasting kind of just came to me. And so I started researching it and I found myself getting very excited. And now that I'm a little bit older, I recognize that excitement, that means it's aligned. That resistance that I felt about deleting crumble cookies, that means that it's misaligned and it's punitive and it's coming from a negative emotion. But I started following the excitement of intermittent fasting, which this isn't about to be an informational video, but it's essentially you give yourself set hours to eat and set hours to fast. And I used to do this a few years ago and I remember it was actually really easy for me. And as a matter of fact, I don't typically eat on a normal day until 12 p.m. because my body's already in that habit from when I used used to do it. But my eating window would sometimes like extend itself all the way into like 9 or 9:30 p.m., which is super late considering I usually sleep before 11 p.m. So I'm like, what if I just closed this window at night, kept doing what I'm doing where I eat around 12 or 1, but then close this window at night? And the idea of that, for me, I'm not telling you, be careful, I'm not telling you to intermittent fast. For me, it felt very exciting. So I followed that excitement. And let me tell you how crumble cookies has not reached my doorstep since, because it kind of solved itself. I don't get the urge to order crumble cookies until 9 p.m. So if I'm already committing to eating between 1 and 7, it just solved itself. And guess what? It doesn't feel punitive. I'm actually obsessed with fasting. I genuinely love it. It works so well for me because the way my brain works, if it's just a no, then it's a no. But if I'm giving myself like room to negotiate with myself, like I said, that's when that brute force of discipline needs to come up. Whereas ironically, just saying and committing to eating between 1 and 7 or whatever, for me, doesn't feel hard. I just have this built-in automatic thing that guarantees my success day after day after day and feels good for me. When it comes to you, the reason I'm saying I'm not telling you to intermittent fast is because for me, that was reverse engineered from a specific problem I was trying to solve. I took a misaligned behavior of eating crumble cookies at 9 p.m. and I asked myself, how can I introduce a new habit into my life that kind of solves for this? If a misalignment is that you only get 2,000 steps a day, instead of saying like, I have to do this, or I'm not allowed to sit throughout the day, or I have to, whatever, like find something that excites you. Does watching a YouTube video on the treadmill before dinner excite you? Does deciding to take a walk outside, walk your dog, walk your child? Does the idea of investing in a walking pad while watching your favorite TV show, does that excite you? And if none of those excite you, then be even more creative. There's no right or wrong way to be aligned. Does the idea of signing up on ClassPass for dance classes twice a week, does that excite you? Notice how many options there are to reach the goal that you set out. And that's why it's so important. Yes, be very strict and rigid, I guess, about the focus that you've committed to at the beginning of this video. But the process does not need to be strict or rigid. The metaphor that comes straight to my mind right now that I'm driving in LA, is the different route options to get to the same place. There are several different routes that you can take to get to the same place. Some people prefer the longer scenic route. Some people prefer to take the side roads. Some people prefer not to get caught in traffic. Like, everybody's different. We'll get to this next point in a second, but things also happen. So understand, please don't be so rigid about the process. Allow your fun and excitement and your feeling of alignment to guide you. And if you start to feel resistance, that's a sign that you're just introducing an unnecessary challenge. You don't get bonus points for making this harder than it needs to be. The goal is the goal. In my case, I'm trying to lose 10 more pounds. The first 10 pounds taught me that I need to enjoy myself. I need to like the workout classes that I'm going to. I need to like the time of day that I've committed to doing it, because I don't get bonus points and I don't burn extra calories for hating my life. So allow yourself to follow the feelings of excitement and alignment. And when you feel resistance, my love, that is a sign that you need to reevaluate. Which brings us directly into rule number 6. And this is to give yourself permission to change and adapt. I talked about this very recently in a video on the importance of just changing as a person, changing your mind, changing the approach that you committed to. Right now, through rules number 1 and 5, you have basically just outlined a plan for yourself for these next 90 days. I can think of nothing more ridiculous and foolish than to apply that same plan the same way on day 1 as you would on day 90. That means that you are not a human being. My girl, even AI changes and adapts with new information, okay? You are a human being. And to be honest, I used to think that me setting out a plan for myself and sticking to it 110% was a way to build self-trust. Now that I'm older and wiser, you can't see any of my grays for the most part because I just dyed my hair recently, but I have a lot. I have a lot of wisdom that will probably be growing out in the next couple months. Now that I'm older and wiser, I can think of nothing that shows a lack of self-trust, like force feeding yourself to do the same thing every single day if you feel like it's not working or if you feel like things need to change. Real Authentic, organic self-trust is built by allowing yourself and trusting yourself to respond to the ebbs and flows of life in a way that keeps you aligned. Notice I keep using that word alignment because alignment is so important. Rigidity is not so important. Rigidity is actually the enemy of your transformation. Just like I've said, predictability is the enemy of transformation. So is rigidity. They're kind of cousins. Being flexible, if you can trust yourself to still know you're gonna get there, but allow yourself the flexibility on the how, that's how you know you really trust yourself. But if you feel like you need to hold on tight, you wrote this whole thing and you need to just hold on tight. Let's say I was freaking recording this video, reading this shit. How would you feel about that? Like, I don't even trust myself to go off the cuff. I don't trust myself to freestyle. Like, if I really had to, like when someone gets up to give a speech and they're just reading, I know for a fact, number one, you're bored. Number two, you feel like that person lacks confidence and self-trust because they can't trust themselves to freestyle, okay? I need you to trust yourself. You've written this plan. You're watching this video. You are doing all the things that you need to do to be the most aligned, amazing version of yourself stepping into 2025. I know that if you just trust yourself enough to know when a certain approach or decision that you made is no longer aligned and you have enough faith in yourself to find what is aligned, you're actually going to become so much more successful. If I didn't take this advice that I'm giving you, I would not have discovered intermittent fasting and my ass would still be over there on that couch ordering crumble cookies. Because what had I committed to? I had committed to tracking my calories, which just didn't feel aligned, which is why when I would order the crumble cookies, I wouldn't track the calories, okay? It didn't feel aligned to me anymore. I said I was gonna do that. I changed my mind because guess what? The goal is still to lose weight and I've been losing weight and the jeans are buckling. And my final check-in, by the way, for the In Those Jeans challenge, for those who are following, is in the next couple weeks and I'm so excited about it. But I changed course along the way. My goal has always been the same, to fit in those jeans, to buy a pair of jeans that didn't fit and fit into them. How I got there, I gave myself that flexibility because I wanted to make sure that I was in this for the long haul. I knew this was not just a goal that I was going to set for 2 months through my birthday and just give up. No, this is an identity that I've stepped into and I have. With every new video, there was a new girl trying those jeans on because I have allowed myself to change. If I didn't trust myself enough to know that counting calories didn't feel aligned or stepping on the scale no longer felt aligned, then I wouldn't have discovered things that I've been doing, like taking dancing classes, like intermittent fasting, like hiring a trainer. I wouldn't have discovered those new exciting things because I didn't trust myself to explore the things that would ultimately be so right for my journey. And I don't care what these other YouTubers are telling you about this 90-day reset. This is me and you right now, right here. If you don't trust yourself to adapt things, to make them feel good for you, it's going to be so much more difficult to achieve that goal. But honestly, even more importantly, even if you did achieve that goal by being rigid, you would not be equipping yourself with the skill to know when things are right for you versus when things aren't right for you. And that sounds like self-betrayal. Bad bitches don't betray themselves. So that is not the energy that we want to bring in to 2025. Last but not least is rule number 7, and that is to introduce embodiment triggers. My manifestation coach actually taught me this, and she calls them anchors. And the way that we use anchors when we work together is if I do this visualization, I'm basically quantum leaping into this next identity. Just kind of like we've done together today, more in like a workshop style. And now that I've embodied this new identity, she recommends having some physical things in your day-to-day that remind you that you're in this new identity. And so I'm calling these embodiment triggers because I want them to trigger in your mind the identity that you are currently committing to embodying. There's this short poem I wrote years ago before I understood any of this stuff, but I was still doing it, but I didn't have the words for it, right? And it's when old mindsets, old habits, and old people tempt you to revert back to old ways, remind yourself that you're different now. So what is it in your reality, in your day-to-day life, that when you look at it, reminds you that you're different now? That's the goal. For me, this little vision board that I showed you earlier, this is absolutely an embodiment trigger for me because it's reminding me like you're already her. That's literally the affirmation on it is already her, so act like it. And I strategically put it in my kitchen because it looks so pretty there. But more importantly, a lot of the stuff on this vision board and this new identity that I'm embodying is around meal prepping and health and fitness. A lot of the things that bubbled up as misalignments for me were related to the food that I was eating. It kind of really helps to put it in the kitchen as this trigger of like, these are the kinds of decisions that the person you're currently embodying makes. So that's a trigger. Another trigger is this new water bottle that you may have noticed. For the life of me, my loves, I could not get myself to buy a Stanley. I couldn't. Okay. But I did need a water bottle that had a cute handle, a water bottle, more importantly, that fit in my car because my old water bottle was too fat from the bottom. And so I found this new bottle and it's called Brewmate. And Brewmate, you have permission to sponsor me because I would love to help you steal market share from Stanley because I don't want to see another Stanley if I don't have to. But I just felt like this is so much prettier. It has more feminine energy. Stanleys are just so bulky and ugly. Regardless, it's a new water bottle that feels like the new identity. Because one of the things that bubbled up as well was I'm not intentional about my hydration, but the new embodied version of me is. So I bought this water bottle that I can take with me wherever I go. And it's so pretty and it kind of like begs me to drink from it. And that's another embodiment trigger for me personally. But you don't have to go out and buy something new to have an embodiment trigger. There could be things in your current wardrobe, things that you wear that just remind you that you're that girl. Unironically, black on black is what does it for me. I'm pretty sure this exact outfit with this exact little like cropped Lulu thing was what I put on my vision board years ago. And I put it back on my vision board this time because that outfit with this power braid just makes me feel like that girl. For you, it could be a specific makeup hack that you do. Maybe a winged eyeliner makes you feel like that girl. Maybe a certain lip liner or lip gloss makes you feel like that girl. Maybe even like dyeing your hair to symbolize this new chapter. Those are all examples of good embodiment triggers. Another one, if you're not really like into the physical manifestation of it, is something I'm definitely going to be doing. And that is a simple question I'm going to ask myself every single day for this 90 days. And that is, who are you choosing to be today? Honestly, that in itself is such a groundbreaking question because two things. Number one, it's a very creative visual way for you to set an intention. And studies really do show that when you set an intention early in the morning, you're much more likely to be productive or just feel aligned with how you spent that day. But more importantly, I would say it kind of reminds you every single day and conditions you to realize that this is all a choice. Everything that you ultimately do throughout your day, how you respond, how you react to things is all a choice. And so even just the habit of asking yourself, who am I choosing to be, kind of reminds you that the power has always been in your hands. And that even if you didn't consciously think you were making that decision, you have chosen to be a specific version of yourself from January up until October. You might not have been intentional about that choice. If you could go back, you might have chosen differently. But the fact still remains that every single day you chose to be the version of yourself that achieved the results that you're looking at right now. And that might be hard to hear, but it's true. I chose to be the girl that prioritized her desire to try Crumble's new flavors every week over the girl who prioritized how she would be feeling in October of 2024 about her body goals. And I don't say that with any shame or judgment. It was fun while it lasted. If I don't eat another crumble cookie for the rest of my life, it'll be fine. Even though I will, but you get what I'm saying. Like, I allowed myself to indulge. I had fun. I need to be real with myself that I chose that momentary pleasure over the goal that I said I wanted. Take that power back and decide, who are you choosing to be today? Who are you choosing to be tomorrow? And because of rule number 6, those answers could be different. You could say for the first 30 days that you're choosing to be one thing and then just remix it after that. But the point is, the power has literally been in nobody's hands but yours this whole entire freaking time to choose the version of yourself, to choose the character that you would like to show up as. So these are all examples of embodiment triggers that are really going to help you hold true to the version of yourself that you said you were at the beginning of this video. They're going to help you hold true to not just that identity, but the habits and decisions that come along with it. And one thing that I didn't write down in these notes, but I'm going to say is I would also encourage you to do a sweep through of your habits, what's in your current home, and anything that is a negative trigger. So let's call it a misalignment trigger, like a garment of clothing that makes you feel like your old self, a specific habit that you do every day that makes you feel like your old self, right? I want you to do a sweep through of any physical manifestation in your space, anything that you're going to see. Maybe it's a screensaver. Maybe it's the house slippers. I'm literally looking down at these house slippers now. I'm like, I'm about to get rid of them and get new ones because I need something that reminds me of the new version because these have too much baggage. And so anything that you don't even have to rationalize it. If you look at something and it makes you feel like it has too much emotional baggage and in a misaligned way, just get rid of it, okay? Maybe it's a freaking flavor of poppy that you used to drink and now you want to switch to a different flavor. Like as simple as that. It could be silly, it could be simple, but anything that is misaligned that triggers you is going to be counterproductive to these positive embodiment triggers that you're creating in rule number 7. My love, I have literally never been this excited to record a video, so much so that I'm going to do my best to edit this video today, October 1st, edit it and post it all in one day, which I haven't done in months. Before you freak out, we technically have 90 days starting, I think, October 3rd. So you have a couple days to print out this PDF, to really take your time. It only took me 2 days to get to a point where I really feel like I'm hitting the ground running. But your winter arc, if that's what we're calling it, is waiting for you. Like, this is your time. And if you feel at all discouraged about how you've spent this year, I just want to remind you, it's very normal for these last 3 months to be your best performing months. So if you are watching this in October, it's not too late, my love. You are right on time. And if you're watching this in November or December or whatever, it's all a freaking social construct anyway, and just use it to motivate you. But at the end of the day, 3 months is a lot of time. You can change your whole freaking life and the entire trajectory of your future, as well as the lives of the people that depend on you in this time. And literally the gag is that the only reason you won't change your life in these 3 months is if you don't believe that you can. The gag is the only reason 90 days will not be enough to do what you want with your life is if you set a goal so unrealistic that the only thing you're freaking thinking throughout these 90 days is, I don't think I'm gonna do it. So you really have the power to make or break what this is. And I don't want you to look at that as overwhelming pressure. I want you to look at that as an encouraging and fun and exciting challenge to completely transform outcomes for you and your loved ones. Like, this is your time. I don't know about you. This is my time. I'm speaking to myself, right? This is my time. Like, October, the fall, the end of an already badass year, like, it's over for everybody. It's over. And that is the energy that I want to give you. That's the energy I want you to have. I want you to feel so freaking excited. And that's why it's so important to follow that excitement and give yourself permission to allow that to be the momentum pulling you forward. And I promise you, if you just do that, if you just follow the fun, follow the excitement, trust yourself enough to know that where there's excitement, there's alignment, it's going to be wild for you on January 1st, 2025. Guaranteed. I love you so much. I hope you print this out and use it. I'm so freaking excited to do this right alongside you. I didn't know what this was going to look like 2 days ago, but I literally took my own advice, followed the excitement, and built something that couldn't be more authentic to the process that I've personally been using and will be using for the following 90 days. I haven't decided if or when I'll be checking in, but we'll figure that out later. Again, we'll follow the fun and give ourselves room to change our minds. But in any case, I would love to hear from you. Drop a comment below letting me know what is the goal that you've committed to. I want to celebrate you for making this commitment. I'm just so excited and so grateful to have you on this journey with me. I'm not going to ask you to like or subscribe, as you know, but you already know the deal. If you like this video, then bring a friend with you. Not even next time, bring them with you now. Let's get them started on this 90-day reset together so that we can leave people even more powerful than we found them. I love you so much, and I will see you on the next one. Bye. Let's get it.